Morning. It's a few days since my last video. I've ordered some corks to bung up all the little pipes on these fuel tanks. I'm going to use vinegar, and I was going to block them with rubber. Then I checked out and vinegar dissolves rubber, so that wasn't going to work. So my corks have come. So the goal this morning is to get all the holes bunged up. I'm gonna use a piece of wood across the petcock part with some bolts and some kind of sealant under the wood for the actual petrol hole. The actual filler cap, a bit of a nuisance, so I'm going to experiment with I'm going to put several layers of cling film over the cap there and then just close it and let it lock on itself, and hopefully that'll seal good enough. The bottom of that should be fairly easy because there's just two holes I can cork, and hopefully I'm expecting about a week that we'll get some rust dissolved here, because vinegar's only up to 5% acid, so it's not going to do it in 10 minutes like something massively corrosive would. I've done one before with vinegar. It wasn't quite as bad as this one, probably half as bad as this one, so it's a bit of trial and error really, but I've got vinegar kicking about, so it's a cheap experiment. Worst case scenario, I end up buying a new tank, but if we can salvage this one, that's what it's about, not putting things in a scrapyard. So that's the state of the petrol cap for reference for later. The petrol hole, there's not a lot of visibility in this tank, so that's pretty much going to be our gauge. And I'm going to put half a dozen screws just so I can have a bit of something to shake around there and knock pieces loose. So in they go. Hopefully I can get them back out later. Right, so we've got cork fits nicely in there. That one, a little bit small, but the next size up, too big. So let's see if it seals. If it doesn't seal, I'll have to whittle down a bigger one. And I've got some thick food bags that I'm going to put under my fuel cap and then close it and let the rubber seal push the food bag down to the tank seal, and hopefully they'll hold out. So let's get a bit of vinegar in. I'm going to pop in about half a can and then see if those bottom corks are holding. Of course, if you care about your paint, don't get vinegar like that. This one is going to have a respray, so not too worried. And like I say, worst case scenario, I end up buying another tank, but I think this one's salvageable. It's pretty solid. It doesn't have any weak spots in. It's not got no holes in it or bits where you feel like it's going to push through with rust. So it's effectively just surface rust, isn't it? It just shows how small the tank is. I mean, this is only a 5 litre can. And it was full, so tiny tanks on these. I'm going to try and remember to shake this tank around 2 or 3 times a day, and anticipation it's going to be about a week. So I reckon we are nearly full at that. I want to get it as full as I can. Let's go down a bit. See how that does. We can get a little bit more in there. Not much though. that's about it. So we shall put our vinegar-proof seal on there and let it pull itself in. Turn the key so it helps to not pierce it. Okay, I'll give that a rinse. So my tank's here, and I've finally crafted this, and I'm hoping this will bolt over the petcock and seal. And this is in a tube, so it's rubber, but I'm hoping it'll hold up long enough, longer than the rust, shall we say. I'm also hoping I've got those holes at right distance. So I'll try and pop that on now and see what happens. It's going in. It's going in. Okay. Crush the wood down, so just be crushing the rubber. So hopefully that will seal them. I'll grab a couple of corks now, 3 even. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3. I'll probably just fill it through this one because 4. Let's get it right. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now fill it through this one because it doesn't have a filler neck like a top tank does. A couple of minutes later, we've filled it through this hole, corked it. My wife assisted, glamorous assistant, holding a... I put the fuel pipe back on actually, which I didn't like to do because the vinegar will corrode it, but we've rinsed it out again after a few minutes. So, because it's an awkward ankle to fill, isn't it? This, your normal one, you'd fill it through the filler neck, but this, it doesn't have one. And I suppose I could have unbolted my seal, which seems to be holding. But then what you're betting I won't get it back on a second time. I've also put 6 screws in this one. I could swirl around. 6 screws, and just to point out they are magnetic, so when I try to get them out and I do it through the petcock hole, I'll use a magnet to try and get them out, because otherwise I could be chasing them forever with it not having a filler neck. So that's it now, really. That's a 1 week delay with that. In the meantime, I'm going to get the new screwdriver. I'm going to have a go at my carburettor that's stuck, and I'll come back to you. So I've just opened up my workshop, and we've got vinegar, look. We've got vinegar leaking from that one. So I've bought some plumber's PTFE, which says good for all common liquids. So again, trial and error. I'm going to pop each cork out and wrap each one in a bit of PTFE. And we'll see how it goes. Here's an observation. The bag that I used to protect the fuel cap is not vinegar proof. Look a bit. So there's something we've learned today. I've just given the first drain of the lower tank. We got that in there, and look at that. That's beautiful. That's I'm going to give that a rinse and see what keeps coming out. So we've now got considerably better than it was. Get an angle that looks right, but it's still rinsing some brown bits out. So I'm just giving it several rinses through with a hose pipe. I'm going to refill it with vinegar, and we'll give it I think just another day or so, maybe 2 days. I'm working tomorrow, but that looks tons better than it did. Yum. And that's after the big grill that's also in the funnel there. So this is out of the top tank. There was a similar amount in the bottom tank that I hadn't videoed. But yeah, there it is. It's the sludge. Right, so it's been 2 extra days since my last video. I've been busy, so I think we're at day 8 of these being full of vinegar. I've just pulled the corks out of there, and I'm going to rinse several times, put some bicarb in, rinse that through, and then I'm going to dry them out, and I'll show you the difference inside. I had a little peek, it's looking good. And because I can't fit them on my bike straight away, I'm going to put these inside. Probably in a cupboard in my bedroom or something, just so they're not where it's damp, so they're going to hopefully stay in decent condition till rest at bike's ready. So that's rinsed nice and clear, and this little bit of inner tube fastened to a piece of wood has managed to hold an actual better seal than my corks. So pleased with that. I had a little look at the inner tube at 5 days in, and it was okay. It's deteriorated a little bit there, but it's fine as long as it lasts a week. We don't care. That's enough. Keep pouring it down my leg. It's only water, is that now? So I'm going to get some bicarb in here to neutralise the acid, give it a bit of a swill around, rinse out a few times with water, and then dry it. And I got to get my screws out of there. If you remember, I put some screws in to rattle around. There we go. Come on. Gently does it. That's 1, 2. That's 3. 4. I got it. 5. 6. Game on. 2, 3. So what's that? What on earth is that? It doesn't sound metallic, it sounds different to my screws. What on earth is that? So I could see it, and what I think it is the little fuel filter bit that goes onto your petcock. I think it's one of those. So could do with it out really, but it's not metal. There we go. Ta-da! Yeah, that's what it was. So it would seem that it's the main fuel rather than the reserve one. So essentially this bike's been sucking in crap for the entire time that's not been in place, which is why it ended up as a non-runner. Well, that's good. I got the 6 screws in that I counted in at the beginning, and a freebie. Right, next job, a bit of bicarb in that tank. So this is just standard bicarbonate, sodium, see, well it does look, sodium bicarbonate, nothing special, it's just an alkali to neutralise any residual acid. See now what's coming out of there is lovely and clean, there's no bits in there. No bits in there at all. Rinsed. I think we'll call that the last rinse. Put that to dry in my house. It's going to sit next to the dehumidifier, I think. Maybe I'll get a hairdryer on it as well. Yeah, that is rinsed. Next job is this one. So I put a bag there to protect my rubber from the vinegar. The first bag lasted a couple of days, whereas this one's lasted several days. It was just a thick sandwich bag, so that's good. It's not vinegar proof, but it's vinegar proof for long enough. So I'll drain this one out and we'll take a look inside. We'll see how much better this one is. Cork's held out long enough. Just going to let that rinse out at full speed because it'll carry more parts if it's flowing fast. See, that's quite a bit muckier than the bottom tank, which makes sense because your bottom tank's not really exposed to fresh air. With it being a sealed system. Oh yeah, I can hear bits. Don't know that being screws, that's not bits, is it? So I'll get some water in here to give it a shake up. Definitely hear bits inside there. Rust coming away. Still plenty more screws. Still getting bits. I'm not just going to keep repeating this until we don't get bits. Shouldn't do that overflow really. Oh, there we go. Point now, I'm happy with what's coming out of it, so I'm going to put some bicarb in. I put 4 heaped spoons of bicarb in there. Right then, so inside there, looking pretty shiny. There's a little bit there. I'm going to give it a couple more rinses. You see that little bit of muck there? Just trying to get all them bits out, but that I think is about as good as we're going to get. Can I get it in hole? That focus? Oh yeah. And when you compare with before, so much better. It's had a bit of bicarb in there now, so I'll give it 3 or 4 more rinses of pure water, and then I'm going to go dry it out as fast as I can, and we'll see if it flash rusts, because this is bare metal now. And, see what happens. That's number 3. A lot of bits down this front corner now. Wasn't expecting that. Just trying to get my screws out. These bits are not washing out the fuel pipe, but my magnet's picking them up. So maybe I need to do a bit more of that. Holding my magnet in the hole, hoping to catch a screw, basically. I've got 3 of them out. 6. But as well as catching screws, that's 5 of them out. Also catching shards of rust, which don't seem to wash out of the fuel hole. That's my last screw out. Tons of rust. What's that about? Why is that not been coming out of that fuel hole? Is that raising slightly inside there? I think what I'm going to do when this is finished is I'm going to plant a magnet inside possibly both tanks, just to help gather any bits together, get them clumping together rather than floating around your tank. Yeah, we're pretty much, there's not much left in there now. Right, I'm going to settle for that. I think we're as clean as it's going to get. I'm going to go put this on the hairdryer now, so it dries out.